Hello guys and welcome back to Taka's FM, and in today's video we're looking at the number one tactic from the FMBase FM23 Beta tactics. That's the top 5 tactics that we've been going through this week, and this is the number one tactic. It's the 4-3-3 Tiki Taka, somewhat custom Tiki Taka style. The name is in Chinese, so it's kind of difficult to tell what that means. I did go on to test out this tactic with a few teams: Olympique Lyonnais, Budapest, Honved, SL Benfica, Barcelona and Montpellier in the French league. And funny enough, the results, well, I tested it for half a season. So just to look at the data that I actually got when testing out this tactic with a few teams, we're going to start with Lyonnais here. And looking at the data hub, looking at the attacking, they went on to score 1.7 goals per game for the first few games up until January the 1st, 2023. And the amount of goals that they conceded was as low as 1.19. Well, not so low. It is a tiki-taka system, so Olympique Lyonnais are currently in 7th place alongside Montpellier. That's Montpellier currently in. Both teams have the same amount of points. They've won the same amount of games. Okay, Montpellier has played one game more and then they've lost that one game more. Looking at the team stats, Lyonnais have the highest, or 28, they are third highest in the amount of goals that they've scored. PSG and Monaco are right up there. Considering that they've only played 17 games, they're not doing that well with this tactic, considering that it's a tiki-taka system. I don't think it suits Olympique Lyonnais very well, but that's the interesting part about this test. We look at Benfica, on the other hand. They are currently first in the Portuguese Premier League, and they haven't lost a game all season. They've drawn 5, they've won 10 of those games, and they've, like we've mentioned, they've played just 15 games. And then looking at the team stats, we can see that Benfica are the highest scorers in the league, so it looks like the tactic is more suited to Benfica and their style of play as opposed to Lyon and Montpellier in the French league. And they've also had the second highest amount of possession in 67%. I don't think Lyonnais had up to that high amount of possession in the case. We're going to look at the other teams as well. Most points per game in the Portuguese league is Benfica, and they are doing quite well with this tactic. Barcelona, on the other hand, aren't doing so well. They're still in the Champions League as opposed to the real Barcelona team who got knocked out from the Champions League. They're still somehow in the Champions League. They're in the Spanish Cup as well, but that competition hasn't really advanced as much. But in the league, they are currently in 4th place as opposed to the second that they're supposed to finish. And most points per game is Real Madrid. Barcelona are in 5th place with 1.73. Madrid has the most amount of goals. Barcelona has scored 10 goals less than Real Madrid. So it looks like as the season continues, Barcelona will probably get better results with this tactic, and with the hands-on approach, you're probably going to get better results as well. They don't have as much possession as SL Benfica do in the Portuguese league, but that's because Benfica are quite dominant in Portugal as well. Barcelona are supposed to be dominant in Spain, but looking at the tactic being a tiki-taka system, it has only 58% possession for Barcelona. It's high, but not as high as Atletico Madrid are racking up with 62% possession. The last team that we tested the tactic with was Budapest Honved in the Hungarian Division 1, a team very close to my heart as well. If you follow the channel closely, you probably know about Budapest Honved by now. But if you haven't already followed the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new tactic videos do come out on the channel. Most goals in the Hungarian division is by Ferencváros. They are the best team in the Hungarian league, and no doubt about that. They're supposed to be dominant. But Honved are down there in 2nd place by 26. That's just a few goals. Ferencváros that are in 1st place. Most points per game, Honved is out there in 3rd. Most possession, they have the highest amount of possession. So it shows that the tiki-taka system is working for Honved. Most tactics in Football Manager 2023 would be suited to certain teams. And depending on how you go on to manage your team and manage the tactic with your team, that would depend on the players that you have, your training schedules and everything. That everything goes in line with how much success you're going to get, or plays a role in how much success you go on to get with the tactic. And it looks like Budapest Honved in Hungary are quite suited to play this tactic as well. By the way, they've also played only 15 games. They've lost 4 times, won 7 of those games, and we've looked at the amount of goals that they scored already. They're doing quite well as well. So let's go on and unpack this tactic as to why it is difficult for most teams and also suited to certain teams, and how most teams get different results with the same tactic. Now, looking at the shape of the tactic, it's a 4-3-3. There's an attacking player here in the Metala on attack duty, and this player's objective is going to be to roam into the half spaces in this region here and try to create chances, cause havoc in that area, and try to cause an overload with the inside forward on the right hand side. The deep line forward is obviously going to be dropping deep and creating space for these two guys to try and get in there. And then you have the wing back on support duty as well. As much as he's going to be getting up, he's going to also be playing through balls into the box to try and cause disruption in the opposition's defense and try to create chances from wide areas as well. So there's a lot going on the right hand side. The left hand side has a fullback on attack duty, and then there's an inside forward on attack duty as well. There's a box-to-box midfielder that is going to be good up and down the field. So somewhat another kind of semi-overload on the left-hand side. That way, as much as most of the opposition's defense is trying to deal with what is happening on the right-hand side, the players on the left-hand side are there to try and jump into the space vacated by the players that are pressing the attackers on the right hand side. So looking at the players and the team instructions in case you want to go on to recreate the tactic for yourself in a different Football Manager game, or you want to recreate the tactic for the mobile version or the Xbox version, you can follow on to this part of the video. I'm going to go through all the player roles and instructions. The sweeper keeper, like we've seen, is on defend duty and they have not asked him to do anything. The wing back is on support duty and he has been asked to take more risks, which means playing those through balls into the box, dribble more, shoot less often, tackle harder, and mark tighter. The fullback on the left-hand side is a fullback on attack, and he has been asked to take more risks, dribble more, stay wider, and tackle harder. You have two defenders, one central defender on defend, no instructions for him, and the ball-playing defender on defend has been asked to dribble less, essentially operating as a central defender with the ability to take risks and ping long balls into players in goal-scoring positions. In the defensive midfield position, you have a halfback on defend duty, and he has been asked to tackle harder. The box-to-box midfielder is a central midfielder on the left, and he has been asked to take more risks, run wide with the ball, essentially creating another overload here, shoot less often. The Metala on the right-hand side, he has been asked to run wide with the ball, which kind of complements the other guy. So essentially, you kind of have one Metala and one Metala Pro Max, something like that. And then run wide with the ball, tackle harder. You have inside forward on attack duty on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. They don't have identical instructions, so you have to beware. The inside forward on the right-hand side has been asked to sit narrower, tackle harder, and mark tighter, while the inside forward on the left-hand side has been asked to shoot more often, sit narrower, tackle harder, and mark tighter. The striker in this tactic is a deep line forward on attack duty, and he has been asked to dribble less. The mentality, as I mentioned before, is positive. If I didn't already mention before, it is positive. Out of possession, the team has been asked to play with a high press in the line of engagement with a much higher defensive line. It's probably where they're conceding all the goals from. But that's the way it's set up, and that's the way the Tiki Taka system works. So in order for you to get better results with this tactic, you're going to have to train your players to play in this manner and be consistent when you're using the tactic. That way your players are going to get a lot more familiar with their roles, duties, player instructions, and team instructions. Much more often trigger press is what the instruction says here, and then prevention goalkeeper distribution as well. That way try to win the ball back early. The team has also been instructed to drop off when they are defending. That way it sort of helps you stop those counter attacks and try to deal with attacks early and try to get yourself in shape so you can start to press all over again. When they're out of possessions, there are a lot of instructions in this section as well. The team has been asked to counter press and to counter. That works well for a tiki-taka system if you want to press high, win possession early, and try to control the game, have possession of the ball a lot, and then try to score goals from there. Counter press and counter does work. Distribute the ball quickly from the goalkeeper's point of view, as been asked to throw the ball straight to the centre backs, okay, roll it out to the centre backs and distribute it quickly so you can go on to start the play all over again once possession has been won or the goalkeeper is in possession. When the team is in possession of the ball, they're asked to play with a fairly wide attacking width, play the ball out of defense, which is like they saw in the goalkeeper's instruction, pass into space, walk the ball into the box, and play low crosses. The passing directness is shorter, but for a tiki-taka system, what I'm seeing with the tempo is quite excessive, because if you're using a slightly higher tempo, it does mean that you might turn over possession quickly and try to, or let's say you will lose the ball in an event of trying to force the play, trying to get the ball quickly, you might go on to lose possession a lot. But that's the way the tactic is set up. I'm not the tactic creator. I could have tweaked it, but I'm not the tactic creator. You have to see the tactic as it is in its original form. Dribble-less instruction is also key for a tiki-taka possession-based system, so that sort of works well in racking up possession and controlling the game and always holding onto the ball. It kind of complements the slightly higher tempo, I guess. So if you have a dribble-less instruction with a slightly higher tempo, so you somewhat have control over the game because you're not loose in running helter-skelter. So it's possession until you find the space and then try to move forward and create a chance and score. So that's the Tiki Taka system, the number 1 tactic in the Football Manager 2023 Beta OP tactic list of top 5 tactics. If you enjoy content like this, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new tactic videos and Football Manager hints and tip videos do come up on the channel here on Dark Horse FM. I go on to test tactics for multiple teams, lower league teams as well, and also create hints and tips on how to get better at Football Manager, and also how to create tactics, create set piece routines, and also training schedules in Football Manager 2023. I'd like to thank you guys for all the support. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers as at the moment of recording this video, so thank you guys so much for all the support that you've always given to the channel. I hope to continue to make Football Manager content videos like this for you guys week in, week out, whenever I can, and whenever I go on to find something interesting in the game, I will go on to share it with you guys. So I'll catch you in the next video.